Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be installing the Brian Tully 5.3 hot rod cam into our 5.3 here. So we got a great parts from them guys over there. They make really nice stuff. Got a whole cam kit, valve springs, push rods, seals, trunnion upgrade, the cam, oil pump, and a full set of gaskets. So let's go over how we do the install and getting this block prepped to put everything in. So here's what we got from the guys over at Brian Tully. They actually sent us a full cam kit with valve springs, push rods. We did pick up an oil pump and some new head bolts. We've got a full gasket set also. This is actually their PDS stage 1 torque cam, but they said it's the same as the 5.3 hot rod cam. Will work pretty good for anything naturally aspirated and also a small blower application. We did get their 660 springs platinum with push rods. Here's a quick little tip for you with these dowel pins. Usually these are stuck in there pretty good, but what I like to use is these hose pliers, and I will actually grab them and pinch them, and it will grab them and kind of release the tension off of that dowel pin. And they come out super simple. I'll show you on this other one real quick. It's just gonna get the pressure off of it. You can see as I squeeze it, collapses in. Alright, so we got a lot of cleaning here to do. What we're going to do is get all the dirt and debris blown out, get these pistons cleaned up, just give it a once over, and start getting the camshaft installed. So my favorite tool here is what actually is called a super scraper. It's a carbide flat tip. Works really well for getting gaskets and just cleaning up anything that's flat without gouging the surfaces. Went ahead and got everything cleaned up on the cylinder head surface side, so we'll go ahead and pull this windage tray off and just clean up underneath of there, do a quick visual inspection. We've got to cut this windage tray for the Holley oil pan, so we'll go ahead and do that, get the cam put in, oil pump, timing chain, and go from there. While we're here, we'll just do a quick check of the thrust, make sure we're within spec. Looks like we are... we're one over there. So 5 thou, 4.5 thou. 5 thou if I pry on it. One thing a lot of people will remove and then either forget to reinstall, and you won't have any oil pressure when you fire this thing back up, but there's an oil sealing, what they call a barbell here. Typically you do want to replace this just because that is an O-ring in there. It can go bad from over time. We'll go ahead and pull it out, but if you pull this out, do not forget to put it back in. So there's an O-ring in here that seals up. And this is what keeps oil pressure going to the cam, I believe. Alright, we've got our Hot Rod 5.3 cam. We'll go ahead and get that put in. Did include a cam card. This is a 217 on the intake and then a 230X. BTR actually doesn't disclose some of their top secret cams as far as the duration, so it's a 230X. 619 lift on the intake and 607 lift on the exhaust on 114 lobe separation angle. This is your standard 3-bolt cam, so if you are doing a cam on a newer engine where it has a 1-bolt cam like an LS3 would have or something with DOD, you will have to change over to the different cam gear. You always want to make sure you lubricate the cam going in. I like to twist it just to make sure it's going in smooth. Every time you get to a cam bearing, it's good to just give it a spin and make sure everything still seems normal. Nothing's binding up, so. Go ahead and finish getting this camshaft put in. Like I said, we're just spinning it, make sure everything feels smooth as we go to each cam bearing. So we got with the good folks over at Holley, and they sent us a cam thrust plate for this LS. This is the new style with the countersunk holes from Mr. Gasket, so we'll go ahead and get that installed. This torques to 11 foot-pounds. Doesn't take much. So what we got to do here is get the dot on the bottom crank gear straight up. So we're right about there. And then we'll go ahead and put the cam gear on with the timing chain. You install this dot to dot, so there's the dot there. So our pin for the cam needs to go over to there. Get this cam put back in. That's going to be dot to dot there. So we'll go ahead and get this on the chain, or on the gear. Because that rear plate isn't on, the cam's wanting to fall out the back. So we'll go ahead and use a bolt to So we'll go ahead and get the timing dots lined up. One over. So look pretty good there. We'll use a bolt to catch this cam. The cam keeps wanting to fall out the back because the rear cover's not on it. Perfect. We'll go ahead and put a touch of blue Loctite on this. Go ahead and snug these up. We'll rotate it over twice just to make sure we line back up. Yep, aligned right up there. So we're on dot to dot. We'll go ahead and torque these cam bolts. They go to 26 foot-pounds. When installing these, I personally like to put the oil feed hole towards the front of the engine. At the end of the day, they'll get oil the same, but I just like to keep it consistent. Go ahead and put some oil on these. So if you take the bolt out, you just want to make sure that these go in pretty smooth. You don't want any binding or anything on them. And the lifter tray retaining bolts get torqued to 106 inch-pounds. So pretty light torque on those. So we'll do 106. Which is basically just snug. All right, last thing to wrap up this short block, putting it together for now, we're gonna go ahead and put the oil pump on with this. We picked up a Melling M295. I believe this is the standard volume high pressure pump. Had pretty good luck with these in the past. Does come with 2 different O-rings. This depends on the pickup tube that you're using. I think we're using the Holley pan, and I think that comes with its own O-ring. So I don't believe we use these, but I'll double check once I get to that point. Go ahead and take our crank bolt out here. Take these 2 off. I do like to pre-fill the pump just to get something lubricated in it. Just gotta get the teeth lined up. There we go. Oh, it actually helps if you put it on the right way. Go ahead and get all the bolts started here. What I'll do is I'll just make sure it's kind of centered. Just go hand tight with it. We'll get that torqued down and we'll be done. These go to 18 foot-pounds. Well, that completes everything we have time for today. Basically got the short block reassembled, got the cam put in, and got the oil pump put on and lifters installed. So we'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit more, and in the next episode we will put the oil pan on and go through the cylinder heads, lapping the valves in, changing the valve springs, doing seals, and assembling the whole engine. Stay tuned.